Hey, what's up guys, it's Apollo Uchiha here, back with another part of What If Naruto was sent back in time. This is going to be the final part of this series, and if you haven't, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you like the content of this channel. And without further ado, let's continue our story.
I fail to understand. You love me, yes? Mother ground her teeth. It had been a mistake to wake up and get out of bed this morning. He wanted to just stay there with her in his arms and pretend that he didn't have such a difficult choice ahead of him. So why are you still conflicted about this? Because it wasn't an easy choice. Part of him was hoping that they couldn't get the portal open, and then he wouldn't have to make that choice. He looked up ahead to where Sakura was leading them. She seemed so sure that it would work, and in some ways she was right about what he should do. But even when he knew what was right, he couldn't decide, because it is not that easy. He paused, trying to find the right words to say. He was so used to just follow his heart and knowing what he had to do next. And everything just worked out. Being conflicted between what was right and wrong was so new, and it really sucked to him. I have to choose between you and everyone else that I know and love. Then you choose me. She continued to glare at him, easily pacing with him so much as looking where she was going. She gave a sigh. Her clear and usual scowl were gone, replaced by the expression she tried to bury. I need you here. I know, but it'd be great if she could come to the future with him. But she needed was here in the past, and she had the worst part of everything. But if he went back to the future, then the future her might try to kill him. Even though the future her was a guy, this stuff was confusing. He gave a sigh, trying to get as close to her as he could. Could you choose between me and your clan? She turned away from him, eyes scanning the horizon. Her face was an unreadable mask that couldn't give him anything. He had barely known her for a week, but he was already struggling to choose between him and his girlfriend. If it had been a month, how different things would be. What about a year? Was she worth giving up his dream of becoming the next Hokage? Was she worth all the hard work he had put into getting the village to acknowledge him and respect him? Was she worth his future? Was he worth that much to her? He wanted that to be yes. Well, he pressed. Could you? She continued to remain silent, staring dead ahead like he wasn't even there. Are you going to answer me? I don't know. The mask snapped, and she turned to look at him. She looked hurt, like when she first broke down in front of her sister's grave. I don't know if I could choose between you and my clan. I don't know if I could leave my clan to be with you. I don't know if I could leave you to be with my clan. I don't have the answer to your questions. Was that the answer you desired? No. At least she wasn't trying to lie to get what she wanted. He smiled, on her shoulder, both hands falling on her shoulders. But you know why I'm having a hard time with this? A growl escaped her, and she pushed his hands away, hastening her pace. I will not be happy until you make the choice. I hope you make the right one. Was this why people were so annoyed talking to him? Man, stubborn people sucked. Link break. Portal was a bad word for it. There was more a tear or crack in reality. Only visible from one side, it gave no light and cast no shadow. Even the mirror-like basin of water that it loomed over didn't acknowledge its existence. But there it was, a bolt of lightning frozen and stretched out so that its innards were exposed to the world. The tear gasped like a fish out of water, polluting the air with the stench of ozone. See, Sakura's smile was one that he hadn't seen in a while. It was a childlike excitement that managed to worm its way out of her mature persona from time to time. It wasn't the kind of smile she wore when Sasuke was near. Or maybe that was just him over-analyzing things. She walked up to the portal, a bounce in her step. The water hardly even noticed her passing. Must be nice having perfect chakra control. The portal thumped with a sound like thunder, stretching out over a minute when she slapped it. I told you it was here. Come look, you can see Konoha. Are you sure? We should be hitting it like that? He asked, foot slipping into the water, mostly because he wasn't watching where he was going. Great, now his sock was wet. Just one terrible thing after another was happening today, and it looked like there was no stopping it. It's fine. is pretty sturdy. Sakura beams, slapping it again. You tried to punch it, didn't you? Her joy vanished, replaced by a pout that she tried to use to get out of her own stupid past and mistakes. If it only worked once, what makes you think I tried to punch it? Because that's what you do when something doesn't go your way. And sometimes it was the first thing she did. Actually, most of the time. That or stomp her foot to make the earth shake. Why was he attracted to a violent woman? He peered into the crack. It extended backwards, projecting a depth that it didn't have to show a part of Konoha he knew all too well. The Hokage monument, he could clearly see the third Hokage's stoic face, Tsunade's skull, and Kakashi's mask. Then there was his father's visage. If he stayed, maybe he could change that. But if he stayed, he wouldn't be able to see his friends and family again, would he? There were more than 100 years between now and then. Could he even live that long? Even bearing that very likely chance that he died in a fight for doing something stupid, a public poll said that he was mostly likely to die to choking on ramen. That was still a long time to live. It was like twice as old as Granny was, and she was super old. That's how I know things. I haven't changed for us, Naruto. Sakura placed a hand on his shoulder. Things are still there. And the same. The Hokages are still the same. Third is still there. The fourth. The Tsunade. And then Kakashi Sensei. No feared future where we have an Orochimaru Hokage or anything like that. I have eyes, Sakura, he muttered, trying as he might. He couldn't be as excited about this as she was, or even as much as he knew he should be. That was his home, right there. He could see it. But how do you know this will work? Or even if it's safe? She rolled her eyes. Honestly, you're going to be lecturing me on what's safe or not? You? She sighed, turning towards Konoha once again. I understand what you're going through. Bullshit. But remember, that's your home. There are people that are relying on you, waiting for you to become the next Hokage. I'm one of them. And you bet your ass when you get that hat that I'm going to be cheering my head off for you. So come on, it's your home, isn't it? How many guilt trips could he take in one day? I know, Sakura, I know. But anyways, how do we open this thing? Hopefully they couldn't get it open and he wouldn't have to make such a hard choice. Naruto. She was annoyed with him. It was almost scary how well she could read him. Look, if you can't make a tough choice like this, then what makes you think you can become the Hokage? Now that hurt. That hurt a lot. Sakura was one of his loudest supporters and critics. What are you talking about? As the Hokage, you will have to make many hard choices that will change the future. What projects get passed? Who stands on mission? Which alliance to accept? Which trade agreement works best? What changes to make? A lot of them have no easy right or wrong. The worst part about it was that he knew she was right. Konoha was important to him. You will both silence your whispering and explain this to us now. Mother growled. She stood separated from both groups, arms crossed. Her teeth were no doubt ground to nothing at this point. Or maybe she just ground them all to a razor sharpness, as she could bite people more effectively. She pointed towards Tobirama. Also, why are you here? You are not needed. I am needed no more than you are. Tobirama huffed, his face as blank as ever. But perhaps my time would be better spent leading a surprise attack on the Uchiha while you are occupied. Is that why you packed that bag, brother? Hashirama boomed, smacking his brother on the back. It is good you are here with us then. Our peace is still but a seedling, and seeing the tree it will bloom into makes me eager to get started. Tobirama glowered, looking more annoyed by the second. It does look promising. Perhaps if the portal is stable, you'll allow us to visit your home, Sakura. No, absolutely not. The whole point of us leaving is so that we don't change anything that would mess up Konoha. The fact that it still looks the same as far, so despite this idiot's best attempts is not. Sakura stomped her feet, splashing water up onto her robes. A squad of ninja jumped across the crack, and the clouds were in a different spot as well, so it was more than a picture. Who are you to call me an idiot? Mother sneered. marching up to glares at Sakura. Both women were nearly the same height, and part of his brain was telling him to run away. So much pain in one spot was not a good thing. Besides, if they started to fight, he didn't know whose side he'd be on, or if he'd even be on a side. Sakura, with all the big-headed stubbornness and confidence she had built up over the years, glared right back at someone that was one of the strongest ninja in the world. Not that he wouldn't do the same thing. I'm his keeper. That's who. Mother looked to him. Are you going to just accept that? This calm and claim wasn't entirely wrong. Sakura was often put on missions with him with a bonus assignment to make sure he didn't do anything too stupid, despite the fact that half the fuck-ups were both of theirs. Ha! Spineless, she snapped away. Hurry up so I can be done with you, and pray that I never run into your ancestors, else my blade might just slip. Okay? Well, I'm still here, so I should be fine. Sakura shrugged and turned to Hashirama. Now then, I was able to open up the portal a little bit with some of my chakra, but it requires a lot more than what I have, so I'm going to need you and... Wait, did you have a lot of chakra inside your seal thing? He asked, pointing towards her forehead. Didn't you try to use that? She sighed, pinching her nose. Naruto, yes, Basil gives me access to a lot of chakra, but it's nowhere near as much as you two have. You both literally shit more chakra than I use in a day. Fair maidens such as yourself shouldn't swear as casually as this, Sakura. Hashirama beamed, stepping forward. Oh, shut the fuck up. That earned a snort from Madara. Congratulations, I hate you slightly less. Okay, now then, Naruto. I want you to use Kurama's chakra and Hashirama. Please channel your sage chakra. I have a feeling it's going to take a lot. Sakura clapped her hands. I'll be using my chakra to try and keep things contained. And hopefully, but it need be Tobirama and Madara, could you please lend me a hand? Fine. Tobirama nodded, shifting his bag once more. Madara glared, her mood still sore from their fight. Again, if only to be rid of you. They arranged themselves so that Sakura stood between him and Hashirama. All of their hands touched the crack. It was solid but had no texture. It was as if something was just stopping his hands from moving forward. Kurama was cooperating but just barely. His giant murderous fox of a friend was salivating at the chance to put Hashirama in his place. That chakra! Hashirama beamed and boomed. Thick black lines spread across his body and his eyes took on a familiar yellow tint. His sage mode was a weird mix of Sakura's seal thing and a full-on sage arts. Maybe he should try to learn it. I knew it. Felt familiar. Tell me, how do you have so much of the Cubist chakra? Oh well, I have Kurama sealed inside of me, and he lets me use his chakra because of her friends. The giant fox screamed inside of his head. Also, he said to go die in a ditch, you rotten teaching bastard. I've been sure to remember that. If I ever encountered the beast again, Kurama was it? Has a nice ring to it. Could you two focus for us half of a second here? Somehow Sakura was scarier than Kurama was. Her own seal thing was active and thick black lines covered her face and all the way to her fingertips. Okay, on a count of 3, start pushing your chakra into it. Keep it steady and even try to match each other. 1, 2, 3. An earthquake without motion hit them. The air seemed to vibrate. The water they stood on began to push away from them, its waves growing larger with each passing second. The crack itself began to pulse, shimmer and shake. A hole began to appear at the top, looking like glass being melted from one side. Another hole appeared, then a third, all slowly expanding. One appeared under his hand and quickly began to swallow it whole. But whatever stopped his hand from moving forward remained. The crack began to crack. Then it shattered, and he nearly fell forward when that invisible surface gave away. It trembled, pulsating with energy and power. We did it! Sakura cheered. We can go home. We can. She was silenced quickly by Madara's foot slamming into her backside, pushing her into the portal. Good riddance. He moved on his own instinct, pure instincts from saving her so many times in the past, for all the fights where they got in over their heads. There was a bond that could only be forged by the ninja of Konoha, something more than friends. She was his teammate, no matter the time, that was the truth. When he touched the threshold of the portal, he lost feeling in his hand. It was numbness. It was worse than the phantom feeling he had when he lost his arm. It was like his hand was simply gone. He was only able to stop by the time he stopped. Half his arm was already lost to it. He looked to Sakura. She was intact, floating along a long tunnel of nothing that extended all the way towards Konoha, unmoving, face still stuck in a cross between shock and joy. He tried to pull away. He tried to escape it, but the pull was as sure as the passage of time. Panic raced over him. He didn't want to go. He wanted to stay. Madara! He twisted to turn her way. His foot was gone too. I'm stuck. Help! I can't get out. You idiot! She grabbed for him, desperately trying to pull him away. All she did was pop a few joints. Why wouldn't you try to save her, you idiot? You big idiot. I'm sorry. She's my teammate. I just did. Out of habit. He couldn't move his arm anymore. It was nearly up to his shoulder, and his left knee was inside the tear as well. I'm sorry. I wanted to stay. I should have said so. I'm so stupid. You're not going to leave me, she screamed, drawing her katana, tears flowing down her eyes. That carefully laid persona she had forged for her enemies and allies alike was thrown to the side. Her breathing was heavy and her face was growing red. I won't let you. I need you, Naruto. I need you here. She breathed, looking at her sword, then to his arm. We can find a healer. Do it. He lived without his arms before. What was a leg too? Her sword broke against his sleeve. The material wasn't even disturbed. That wasn't a good sign. No! She screamed, hands flying through a series of hand signs. White hot flames that roared like thunder erupted from her mouth, aimed at the portal. I won't let you take him. He's mine. Give him to me. His torso was being swallowed up by the portal now. Far too much to cut off. You're mine, damn it. Madara flew to him, kissing him desperately. I command you to stay. You belong to me. You belong here. I'm sorry, Madara. He smiled. He hated goodbyes, and how hollow that sounded. He needed something with more meaning. Sorry did not fix a broken heart. I love you. I know, she growled, holding his face. Every emotion was shown on her face. Rage, fear, happiness, sadness, and tears streaked her face. Her hands left his cheeks for just a moment. That's why I'm coming with you. She placed her hand against the portal, but nothing happened. She was stopped by whatever barrier had once been there. What? No! Take me too, damn it! Without a scream that broke his heart, she threw herself at the barrier, beating, kicking, and screaming at it. No, screw you, Sakura, this is your fault. She kicked, punched, and screamed, each blow only injuring her more. Her fist twisted in unusual ways. Broken fingers snapped. I love you. He repeated one last time, feeling tears fall from his eyes. His head was swallowed by the portal. He could no longer move, not so much as blink, but he could see her, hear her, cry. Only his other hand remained free. She grabbed it, holding onto it for dear life, rubbing against it for dear life. I will kill every single Haruno I will find. I will burn this world to the ground if I have to make sure that she will never be born. Her threat was empty. He could see it in her eyes. She was sad and then she was angry. Sad enough that she didn't so much flinch when Hashirama pulled her into a hug. Instead, she cried into his chest, making a face he never wanted to see on anyone. Pure heartbreak. He wanted to go back. He wanted to be the one to hold her. He wanted to never let her go again, but he couldn't. This wasn't what he wanted, and he wanted the choice to be made for him. Air filled his lungs as he was dropped onto a dirt road, bound by foot travel and the sun. His body lurched forward, scrambling towards the portal that had spat him out. It's shrinking by the second. No, damn it! His voice broke, hands slipping through the crack before it vanished completely. Send me back, damn it! I want to go back. I don't want to live without her. He clutched his head, letting the tears fall freely. Had he ever cried like this before? When Jiraiya died, perhaps, but there was anger in that sadness. This was just empty, hollow feeling. Damn it, Naruto. He felt Sakura's hand fall on his shoulder. She was going to say something that wasn't going to help, wasn't she? It was in the tone of her voice, something about other than love or fish in the sea or something stupid like that. I'm sorry, Naruto. I know it must. She stopped, her hand tightened around his rope. Naruto, I need you to stop crying right fucking now and look up. He couldn't. Naruto, please look up at the mountain. Tell me that is not Sasuke's smug ass face on the Hokage monument. He looked up, shocked override him. The realization, then anger. What the fuck is that bastard's face doing there? There was no mistaking it. They would knew that too cool for you face anywhere. Somehow stoic and made of stone, it still managed to piss him off in so many different ways, but it was the position of the head that pissed him off the most. Instead of Tobirama's stern and judgmental gaze being cast over the village was Sasuke's smug ass face taunting them. The bastard was in the past, wasn't he? How offended would you be if I punched the mountain? Anbu appeared around them, their face hidden behind masks, but their eyes spoke volume. Intruders. A red-haired woman spoke loud and clear, her Sharingan eyes boring into them, trying to expose every secret. The Hokage would like a word with you. Why are you acting like this? This is my fault, Sakura asked him, as they followed the red-haired Anbu with the Sharingan to the Hokage's office. Konoha, and it could still be called that, was eerily similar to how it used to be, as in the village wasn't built into a giant crater that Nagato had put there after leveling the village the first time. She kicked me into the portal. Her shoe's print is still on my ass. He sighed, shooting a glare back at her. On that, she short-cried back, because you were wrong. This isn't our Konoha. Sasuke was the second Hokage, and then there is this Anbu lady leading us, who is, in case you didn't notice, has the Sharingan. Now I'm stuck in a Konoha that isn't home, and I'm not with her, so it's lose and lose for me. If the Anbu cared about their arguing, she hadn't said anything in the last few minutes. Hell, he was half-center, she was tuning them out, which was impressive. What do you want from me? Sakura crossed her arms for what felt like the 100th time. Her glare was gone, but her face was far from pleasant. To say sorry that I separated you from Madara, because all I did was have you open the portal, that's it. I know it's hard to accept this right now, Naruto, but I do want what's best for you. Oh, and what's that? He spat, and for once she didn't bother to return his glare. No, what she did was much worse. It was a smile, so sincere it was poised to steal all of his anger. That was why he hated arguing with Sakura. Most of the time, she knew exactly what to say, how to say, and be right. She placed a hand on his arms. His crush was long gone since before, but her friendship was still important to him. I said it already. For you to become the Hokage, standing in front of all the people that you worked so hard to get acknowledged by. Her hand slid off of him, and that tender smile vanished. Knuckles pressed against her forehead. But I'm sorry that we're here. I should have studied the portal more. I thought that since the last 4 Hokages were the same, that meant it was the same. Seeing you there, I should have expected that Sasuke was there as well, somehow, somewhere. The worst part was that he knew she was right, but that didn't mean he had to be happy about it. That's not what you should be apologizing for. Of course not. Her stance relaxed and her hands found its way to his arm once again. But I'm not going to apologize for something I didn't do. This heartbreak that you're feeling, that sense of betrayal that's eating away at your heart right now, I've felt that too. And I know that you're blaming me for everything right now, but I just want to let you know that I'm your friend, and like it or not, I'm here for you. Can you stop being right? It's pissing me off. She just smiled, trying to cover up the fact that she wasn't taking any of this well either. The Anbu opened the door, the exact same door that used to lead to the Hokage building before it was destroyed. They followed after her, red hair that bobbed like dirt on a white shirt, and into the Hokage's office. It was the same, yet different. The view was still the same, the plants were different, and there was more stuff on the wall, but the desk was still the same. Aligning the wall was paintings of each of the Hokage's. Sasuke's smug-ass face looked far too smug to be on that wall, and he just wanted to Rasengan it, if nothing. Judging by how Sakura was squeezing his arm, she probably wanted to do the same, but that Sasuke looked different. His hair no longer fell over his left eye, and he no longer had the Rinnegan, it was still the bastard. They were not alone either. Two figures waited for them in the room. A man dressed in shinobi attire but wearing the Hokage hat, and a woman staring out, the woman with red hair that looked so familiar. "Oh, our guests are here." The man behind the desk was Kakashi. There was no mistaking that, but he had the same lazy look, the same drawl, but something was off. That scar on his left eye was gone. How did they act? They argued like a married couple the whole way here and kept referring to second Hokage as a... The red-haired snitch coughed into her hand, "a bastard." He wasn't just a bastard. He was a bastard. Anything else just didn't do him just like my grandfather said they would. The woman turned and he recognized that woman. "Anywhere, Granny? Why did you dye your hair red?" He asked, pointing towards Tsunade. It was Tsunade of that there was no doubt. It looked exactly like her. She even had the same diamond thing. Only her hair and eyes were different. Tsunade groaned, clenching her fist and glaring at him. He was also right that I wanted to punch the blonde brat. "He's almost as bad as the first Hokage, master?" Sakura asked, taking a step forward and bowing slightly. "I'm almost afraid to ask, but who's your grandfather?" "The second Hokage, of course, Sasuke Uchiha." Tsunade bristled, with pride holding her mighty chest high. "Of course it was." Sakura sighed, feeling the same dread that he was. Sakura looked ready to scream loudly, something he felt sympathetic towards. "Let me guess. You met your grandmother because he fell into her bathtub. Or spring, actually." Tsunade blinked, her stance relaxing. "But we're not here to talk about my grandfather's love life. We're here to talk about you two." She turned towards Kakashi, bottom right drawer, towards the back. "My grandfather left some scrolls in there for these two. Are you going to explain what's going on, or am I just going to have to accept this as random Uchiha or Uzumaki bullshit?" Despite his protest, he did reach into the desk and began to fish out some scrolls. All of them looked really old. There was a black one, two blue ones, and two pink ones. I was wondering what these were. Long story short, these two are friends of my grandfather, and their time travels that went back in time, then forward in time, and now they're here in a present that they don't exist in because my grandfather changed it. Tsunade shrugged, letting out a sigh. "Honestly, I thought that he was messing with me, but here I am looking at Naruto and Sakura. Right, I'll file this under Uchiha bullshit. So, what exactly did the bastard change?" He crossed his arm, glaring at the scrolls, then back at the smug picture of the bastard. Bastard technically became the Hokage before him. He wanted to go back in that time, just punch him in the face and then kiss Madara or something. No idea. Go read a history book. Tsunade waved him off. "Kakashi, please read the black scroll. It might explain something. I think the other ones are for them." She nodded, unfurling the black scroll. "Right then, let's see here. Oh, it looks rather short. Makes sense. Lord Second was known for keeping things short." Kakashi coughed into his hand. "Dear loser," and Sakura. He blinked then again, and then looked up at them. "His words, not mine." "It's fine," Sakura sighed. "We're used to it. Doesn't mean I don't want to punch him though." "Fair?" Kakashi righted himself once more. "Alright, so where we are. In case I need to spell it out for you, I went to the past as well. I was actually shocked that you two were as well, but since I was stranded here, I decided to fix some things. I also fell in love and started a family. One of the largest changes was bringing the Uzumaki clan fully into the Konoha and strengthening the bonds between the Uzumaki and Uchiha clans. That explained all the redheads with the Sharingan. To simplify my major changes, I brought about a lasting world peace, introducing a dual Hokage system, quelling most of the Biju, defeated the Zetsu, and resealed Kaguya again. Check up on that in the 30 years or so. I also did a lot of make certain that you wouldn't be born, so we didn't get another time paradox, including with this scroll are two scrolls for both of you. The blue is for Naruto and the pink are for Sakura. I color-coded them so you two wouldn't get confused." Kakashi rolled the scroll back up. "Best wishes, and try not to fuck up my village, Sasuke Uchiha." "That's..." Sakura screamed, stomping her foot hard enough to make the bookshelf crack. Her hands were grasping at a neck that wasn't there. He rarely see her this mad before, and for once it wasn't his fault. That bastard! Tsunade took a step forward. I understand this is a lot to take in, but you are my grandfather's friends and members of Konoha. We'll do what we can within reason to help accommodate you, and I hope that you soon will come to accept this Konoha as your home. What about Madara? What happened to her, and the fourth Hokage Minato? What about him and Jiraiya? Sasuke fixed all this stuff just so the Uchiha wouldn't die. Maybe he left his parents alive too. Please, let the bastard be at least slightly human for once in his life. Well, my ex-husband is currently drinking and whoring himself to an eerily grave. Tsunade's face turned into a sneer as she crossed her arms. Ex? I didn't remember the second divorce. Kakashi looked over to his fellow Hokage. Tsunade sighed. It's a spiritual divorce. As for Minato, he isn't here, so he's dead. His voice cracked. What about his mother, Kushina? It made sense. Kakashi and Tsunade wouldn't be Hokage if he was still around. What? No, let me finish before you jump to conclusions, brat. Tsunade rolled her eyes. Minato is out on a diplomatic mission. He should be back soon. Just how many Hokages were there? Why is he important to you? You kind of look like him. Oh well, he's kind of was my father. Or at least maybe. This time travel stuff was starting to make his head hurt. Still, both Jiraiya and his dad were alive. That was great news. As for Madara, was it? I don't recall anything about Madara. Tsunade tapped her chin. But there are a lot of villagers in this village. Do they have a clan name? Oh, the happiness did not mix well with the loss. It was like a hole had formed where his heart was and was eating him up. If they didn't know her by name, then something must have happened to her, or she went crazy and is in a hole plotting overtaking the world again. Or maybe Sasuke killed her, or anything really. It was likely over 100 years ago or so. No, it's not. It's fine. I really just need to read a history book or something. You alright, kid? You look like I just kicked your puppy. Sakura's hand was on his shoulder again. He's just going through something right now, and all this is a lot to take in. You wouldn't happen to have a place for us to rest and gather our thoughts, would you? Understandable. Kakashi stood walking around the desk to give them the scrolls. While I am sympathetic to your plight, we do have to think about Konoha as a whole. I can offer you at most 2 weeks to adjust before you choose to join active duty or find some other callings. But if you're anywhere as great as that bastard, in order towards the painting of Sasuke on the wall, then I am honored to have you with us. Thank you, Kakashi-sensei. Sakura accepted all the scrolls, bowing slightly. Sensei, huh? Link break. He stared up at his ceiling, watching the slowly rotating blade of the fan that didn't so much as squeak. In theory, he should be happy. His dad was alive, his teacher was alive, his mom was probably alive too. The world was at peace. In theory, he had a giant clan, and everything just seemed to do much better here. But it was hard to be happy knowing that he wouldn't be able to see her again. Damn it. Why did he have to touch that stupid portal? That was all Sakura's fault, except it wasn't. This sucked. He couldn't even be angry at her. Instead, all he felt was this dull, sad emotion that just wouldn't go away. He sighed, for what felt like the 1,000th time since he arrived at this temporary home, and reached over towards one of Sasuke's scrolls, thumping at the first one. Might as well see what the bastard has to say. Once again, it was short. Dear loser, you really wanted to burn this. I'm sorry with how things turned out. It would have been a big help to have you with me, especially during those early years, and to try to do things the way you would, which was frequently the stupid way. Anyways, I fixed Konoha's past. Now it's your turn to lead them to a future, so try not to fuck it up. Also, the other scroll is Madara, so be careful. He threw Sasuke's scroll across the room, failing as he tried to stand. Instead, he kept tripping over himself as he made for that second scroll. Why didn't he grab this one first? Dumb luck, I guess. His heart beat like roaring thunder, deafening him to the silence outside. What was in here? Closure? Hatred? Love? It was something just anything about her would do right now. He opened the scroll. Smoke exploded from it, and he dropped it to the ground, coughing and waving it away. That damn Uzumaki woman was not lying when she said I'd feel stiff. He knew that voice all too well. When the smoke vanished, he saw Madara smiling at him, with the same very smile she often gave him. Everything about her was exactly how he remembered. "Madara?" he asked, taking a step towards her, daringly, to reach out and to touch her. Her cheeks felt warm and she nudged into him, letting this one tender moment hang in the air until it was ripe. "How? I haven't seen you in months." She smiled, reaching out for his face as the distance between them became almost like nothing. "I will experience you once more before I explain myself." It was hard to argue with her, tongue about his throat. Taking a break, Sasuke Naruto had been a heartfelt list of apologies and going over a bunch of plans that he hadn't been able to implement and his expectations of her. But the other scroll, the one from Tobirama, was the most unusual one, mostly because she didn't know Tobirama all that well, certainly not as well as Naruto knew Madara. But the conservative second Hokage was bound to have something to say to her, but instead of words, when she opened the scroll, she found it smoking, and that Tobirama would step out of that smoke. "Tobirama? Why are you doing here?" This was the last thing she needed to say. More time traveling bullshit. He stepped towards, stretching so that his neck popped. His cheeks were red. "I had Mito Uzumaki seal me into the scroll so that I might keep an eye on Madara." "Oh wait, does that mean—" He stopped her, stepping forward and grabbing her chin. "But more importantly, I wanted to see you again." Their lips met and her brain stopped working. She was kissing the second Hokage. Then she was making off with the second Hokage. Why was she letting the second Hokage undress her? Why was she undressing the second Hokage? Holy crap, she was such a repressed hypocrite. So, his mouth was dry, and blood still dripping from where she dragged her nails along his back as though two remained him even when he was on top. She was in control. His neck was a collage of bites and hickeys that only a turtleneck could hide, and only chest. But beyond that, he was spent in the best possible way. Madara, as always, was insatiable, but this time she came at him with a hunger that made all their other sessions seem like a kiss on the cheek. The clock said that it was 7. They started at 5, but the sun was rising. Aside from the soreness and desperate need to rehydrate and eat, he felt great. The soft curve of her ass glistened in the early morning light that managed to worm its way into his temporary residence. She was something else as she stretched, her light beauty on full display, her damp from sweat and other natural oils. But as always, it was that small smile she wore that dragged his eyes away from her bare beauty. Though it did linger on every curve. "I know, my ass, here's your ability to speak, but I desire to hear you after so many months." "Months?" he asked, sitting up, her fingers on his chin, and the smile on her face stopped him. She purred softly, kissing him, her body snaking around him once more into the wonderful embrace that was becoming an addiction to him. He found a new source of vitality where there shouldn't have been one, and was ready to go again. "What happened? Why are you here? What about your clan?" Her hands burned into his skin. Somehow she was always so warm, like a fire, always hungering for more of him, ready to devour him if he let her go. And it was oh so tempting to just surrender himself to her, but fighting back was part of the fun. She gasped when he entered her. As to either of them were going to walk today was lost to him. The spark of passion in her eyes grew into a inferno. "When?" she hummed, hips rolling like the ocean at the storm. "When you fell into the portal and I threw myself at it, trying to go after you." She kissed him again and again, as though to make up for the lost times that separated them. As though to say that she was sorry, as though to say so many things that words could not display. "I knew that I would choose you over my clan." For 5 months she guided his hand to her breast, forcing him to grab at her delightful mounts that had a firm bounce to them. "For 5 months I desired to touch I could not have, a voice I could not hear. Everything I desired was robbed at me, even as she moved against him, coercing him into a fit of groans and grunts. Then I met your friend, Sasuke. In him I found someone that I could trust. I could entrust my clan to him. Could we speak not of him while we're having sex? She laughed, pushing some of her hair out of the way and kissing him once more. As to how I ended up here, I said this I did not. Your friend lover, the Uzumaki woman Mito, when the Uzumaki joined us at the Konoha, they bonded with both the Senju and Uchiha. I could see it blending over three clans, becoming irrevocably entangled. I asked her to find a way to seal me so that I might see you again somehow. And here you are. He held her close, kissing her deeply. I'm happy you're with me. She moaned, shuddered, and melted down onto him. Her strength vanished under the waves of pleasure that were washing between them. I missed you so much. She kissed him again, then this one was simple. I love you. I love you too. He grunted, coming inside her for what had to be at least the 7th time since he stepped into the apartment. He fell back down on the bed, even as she stood and stretched once more. How was she still standing? He needed to leave her, exhausted, just once in their life. Otherwise he'd have failed as a man, but not today. Maybe in like a week or something. Or if he took her to like a vacation or something. Yeah, good plan. Now then, where's the bath? I must admit I am looking forward to experience this future, particularly this Ichiraku ramen you mentioned. Wait, Madara didn't know how to shower? Well, she knew how to bathe, but she was used to rivers and stuff. That meant he could show her how to use it, which meant touching more of her naked body. Great, now he was hungry and hard again. Here, let me show you how to use the shower. Link break. Apparently Sasuke had also set both of them up with a bank account that had been recurring interest for a number of years, so that for once in his life he actually had money, enough money to not have to worry about it for a while. But Madara was loaded. While she had given up her role as clan leader, much of the clan lived on lands that were owned in her name, and that meant a lot of rent money. And a lot. Which was why instead of going to go get ramen immediately, he was sitting in some brand new ninja clothes that fit well and basically looked like his old outfit, waiting for Madara to finish her trying on clothes. Who did these clothes used to belong to? Their body matches mine, nearly perfect, she asked him from beyond the curtain of the dressing room. For once she seemed to have a bit of modesty, leaving him outside while she tried on clothes. She really did seem like the type. He smiled, resting his head against the wall behind him, a bag of stuff already nestled between his legs, as though he was guarding it like a treasure. No doubt that there would be many more bags to come. Hopefully they ate soon. Their new clothes, made somewhere else. But they did not even take my size, and they fit so well. And they're already made. This feature is amazing. If it wasn't shopping, it might have been adorable. Okay, even then it was pretty damn adorable. But what is this purpose of this frilly piece of fabric? It barely covers anything. I'm beginning to doubt much of this is for protection. Her hands came out from the curtains, pinching a fairly pair of black underwear and matching bra. One of the other shoppers, a woman with blonde hair that he did not recognize, looked at him with one eyebrow raised. But he didn't care. Madara was buying lingerie. How the hell did he miss that? More importantly, why was he explaining to her what underwear was? The sexy underwear Madara was... It's... That sexy underwear, Madara. It's... You wear it under your clothes so that when you take your clothes off, you look sexy. At least that was what he thought they were. What nonsense. How could clothes make you any more... Oh, she paused. Only her footsteps gave any clue that she was spinning around in front of the mirror, examining herself. I see. Yup. He let the bee pop as he readjusted the bag so that no one could see his erection. She laughed, a soft chuckle that he often did when she was amused by his suffering in one way or another. Do not pout, for these shall largely be to your benefit. Another pause followed by a snap, especially as you remove these with your teeth. The girl that was working at the store, a squirrely looking brunette, turned crimson and turned to hide behind the counter. For being a legendary ninja, she really was clueless to the modern world. Not that he was much better, there was a few things that he didn't understand, such as those blue rough feeling pants that were called jeans, the foreignness of tight-fitting shirts for both men and women. But hey, it's still Konoha, just slightly different from one that he was from. Besides, there were still so many people that he needed to see again. And the life went on for them as in a few months Naruto met his parents as his sensei, and yeah, he pretty much told them and explained them the whole scenario of their time travel and try not to fuck the future thing, and they were shocked at first. But in this timeline, Kushina being the Jinchuriki and Naruto being the Jinchuriki, both of them connected their fists so that they could talk in their mindscape, as the future Kurama from main timeline explained to this timeline Kurama the whole scenario, as Kushina then realized and she began to cry for his loss, and she hugged him and took him into his family, where he met his sister Naruko as well as his father, who was baffled that he has a son from another timeline. He was also shocked and happy, and when the Uzumaki clan found out about this, they were happy as well. And during along those months, Madara got pregnant with Naruto's child, and yeah, life was looking up for them. Since there was no threat, the everlasting peace that Sasuke created was still there. And Naruto took on the mentality of Hokage as Lord 7th in just about 2 years, since he and Sakura came into this new future. And talk about Sakura, she and Tobirama started dating, and both of them got married shortly after 6 months of dating. So you can say she was happy as well. She had to thank that bastard once she died and meet him in heaven or hell. Hell, she thought that the bastard might be even in hell for what he did in his past life. Well, they still have to thank him for what they did, as life was good back in Konoha. As this is where I'm going to be leaving the story of, guys. I hope you like this one, and if you do, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. I know the ending is quite different from the original series, because I thought why not just twist it a little bit. I hope you like this one. This is Apollo Uchiha and I'm signing out. Peace.